Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about Outriders. I want to talk about content creating, YouTube, streaming, and if Outriders has the potential to last as a long-standing game on this channel, on the internet in general. So before we talk about it, like, subscribe, comment, notification bell, Twitter, blah 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 blah, do all that stuff. So I opened this YouTube channel in 2006, which is close to 15 years of being on YouTube. And I think I really started content creating around Modern Warfare 2. So that would be 10, potentially 11 years ago. So I've been a content creator for a long time. I've played a lot of games. I understand YouTube. I understand the ebb and the flow of how games last. And I think Outriders has a ceiling. And I really hate to say that, because if you've watched my streams and you've been around me while I've been talking about the game, I absolutely love this game. It is a very good game for me, my personality, my autistic traits, and just everything about it is a part of me now. I love this game. So what do I mean by it has a ceiling? Now, that doesn't mean that the game can't grow or can't continue, but in terms of content creating, making videos, streaming the game, there is a limit on what you can do, because of the simple fact that the game only has a finite amount of things to do. All expeditions are being done now. Most builds that are viable have been done now. Other types of videos are kind of being stretched out and kind of repeated over and over again, because of the simple fact that the game doesn't have much content when it comes to video making. I've noticed it on my channel, I've noticed it on other people's channels, that views aren't as consistent as they were when the game first came out. Now, that is a natural ebb and flow with YouTube and new games, but for me, because I can recognize what's coming, I don't think there's enough content in the game right now to continue making videos on Outriders. Believe me, I'm going to keep doing it, I'm going to keep trying, I'm going to keep looking for video ideas. That's not the point I'm making. I just know there's a limit right now. When it comes to streaming, which is what I've been doing more of than videos, I think it really comes down to your personal audience and whether they want to watch you play Outriders, you as a person, not just watching the game because they like it, but also because they like you as a person. I think there is a limit there too, because ultimately all you're doing is expeditions over and over and over and over again, and sooner or later people are going to get sick of that. You know what I mean? They play the game themselves, they watch one person using the same build over and over and over again. It becomes boring, it becomes stale. Now, I've found that switching from like my Devastator to my Technomancer has kind of invigorated what I've been doing and people watching, and going to my other two classes essentially will do the same. But what happens when I have all four of my characters to the max level? What happens then to the max builds? Everything worked out, everything just perfect the way I want it to be, and all I could do is just run expeditions and destroy them because I'm too overpowered. What happens then? Because essentially, yeah, you can hunt for legendaries, you can hunt for legendary armor sets, but right now most of the sets aren't very useful because the bonuses of those sets don't really equate to much in a build. Does that mean I'm going to stop streaming the game? Nope, definitely not. I love the game. I'm going to keep playing it. I'm going to keep streaming it. I might not be able to stream twice a day, every day like I did when the game came out, but I'm still going to stream the game. I'm still going to push forward with it because I love the game so much. Now, I know there's a lot of people really thriving with this game, and I'm not disputing that they can't thrive or it's going to end or it's going to stop, but there is a limit on this game because there isn't more content at endgame than just the expeditions. If you look at something like Destiny does a lot of things wrong, but they do a lot of things right too. The end game things, the things that you can do once you've got everything that you want to do, are vast. You can do Trials of Osiris, you can do PvP, you can do competitive PvP, you can do Gambit, you can do Trials, you can do raids, you can do dungeons, you can do strikes if you want to, Nightfall strikes, Grandmaster Nightfalls. There is a lot of content to be played at endgame in a game like Destiny, but a game like Outriders is just the expeditions, and essentially the only thing you can really do when you get to a certain point is challenge tier 15. That's all you can do. Now, you know, Eye of the Storm is the goal, but I don't think many people really care about going to do Eye of the Storm because the benefits and the rewards don't outweigh the kind of trouble it takes to go through it, when you can just run something like Archways of Enoch over and over and over again and get just as much chance, or be able to get the things you want to get just from that. Does this mean the game is doomed and will never ever survive? Not really, no. I think this is a game that's going to last 2, 3, 4 years for a lot of people, but it's not going to be a game that someone plays every single day. They're going to hop back on, twice a week, play the game casually, enjoy what they're doing, but other games will come and replace that kind of need and want to play a game. That's just going to happen. It happens with a lot of games, and I think Outriders will probably last most people 6 months max, unless they really make some changes and do some things. I think this game will probably be out of the limelight within 6 months, which is a shame, but then again, it's probably going to last longer than most games do nowadays, and that's really a testament to how good the game is itself, even with the limited amount of stuff you can do at endgame. And to be honest, it's not even the developers' fault right now, because they can't really talk about things that they have planned, things that they want to do, changes to builds, changes here and there with guns and weapons and making things more powerful and kind of balancing the game, because there are so many other things that need to be focused on right now, like the servers, like co-op, like inventory wipes. All those things need to be priority. So looking at it from a point of view of a content creator, there's nothing to really look forward to make videos on, if that makes sense. So how do we fix it? How do they fix it? To be honest, I don't really know. I think if you wanted the longevity of this game to continue, I think you need to release a new expedition map every 2 to 3 months. Every month ideally, but every 2 to 3 months, a brand new map that people can do something new, something different, and enjoy it. What you can also do then is increase world tiers maybe, or make world tiers relevant to challenge tiers as well. So, you can actually have a reason to play and level up world tiers. You could introduce more challenge tiers too, make them more difficult. You could, bring 2 challenge tiers every month, just to make things more and more difficult. But in the same vein then, if challenge tiers are going to go up, you also need to maybe potentially either balance the skill trees or increase the amount of skill points that you can have, so you can make your build more powerful to match up with the challenge tier that you're at. I really think there needs to be DLC where the story is expanded on, or stories of different characters, and introduce many side quests every couple of months so that people can actually have a reason to go back and play the game as something different from just running expeditions. I think the foundations of this game are solid. The gameplay loop, the replayability, the mechanics, I think everything works really, really well. All we need now as a community is more consistent updates on the content side of the game, rather than the fixes and patches and nerfs and buffs. While that stuff is very, very important, it's not going to ultimately matter with the current game state that we're in, or I don't want to say a limited amount of things we can do, because it's not really limited, but it kind of is in the same vein. I just can't really think of a very good word for it. But if you kind of do both at the same time and release some extra stuff here and there and here and there, and then also do patches and balances and nerfs, I think you've got a really good system there to be able to push the game forward beyond that kind of 6 month mark that I see the game getting to be honest. And I know people frown upon it, I would not mind seeing microtransactions where you can get armor ornaments to be able to put on your current armors, or armor sets that you could buy that have a specific set bonus. I wouldn't mind, because the game is inherently PvE. You're not going to bother anyone else with purchasing a set of armor for yourself and you're slightly more powerful. It's not really going to affect anything whatsoever. So why not just throw some microtransactions in, not make them stupidly overpriced, keep them at a half decent price. I mean, they're not doing microtransactions already and they're surviving, so they could just do really cheap microtransactions and kind of really push the game forward in that sense if they really wanted to. I wouldn't mind seeing it whatsoever, but I think ultimately we just need to see an announcement of some sort of DLC soon, like a mention of it or something to say we haven't forgotten about the game, we're not too busy doing patches and buffs and nerfs, we actually want to do this and this and this, and then people can look at it and be hyped for it. And if they think, oh, this is coming out in 3 months from now, I want to grind the game and make sure I'm ready for it, then it keeps people interested, it keeps people consistent, and it builds the community and keeps going and going and going. And then 2 or 3 months after that, they could be like, oh, here's another thing we want to do. And that's how you kind of push the game forward, in my opinion. You don't have to do dramatic, massive amounts of stuff per update, but just do little and often. That's what I think they really need to do. I wouldn't mind seeing something more akin to a raid either, where potentially, if possible, you could have 4 or 5 people join a game, and it's very much like an expedition times 10, something that could last like an hour or something, and then have specific legendaries or specific armors tied to that raid. And, you know, it's something that people can work towards and really try and figure out the best kind of people to have and best types of classes and what setups you need. Something to really take into consideration is the healing abilities and stuff like that. Nobody uses it whatsoever. I mean, realistically, people just go for all-out damage, and it works in expeditions that way. So why not, you know, have a group of 5 people go fight this really long raid with several bosses, several different types of mechanics and puzzles and stuff like that. And then you have to build around specific builds. Like, you need a healer, you need a tank, and like 3 DPS. Work it out like that. I feel like that would be a really good place to take the game. I think it would explode the game, make people want to jump in and play it more often. And then they just need to sort out people kicking people, because that sucks. But I just want this game to thrive. I love this game. I'm so happy when I play this game. I just never want this game to run out of content. But as someone who has done this for a very long time and made thousands and thousands and thousands of videos and just played thousands and hundreds of thousands of hours of gameplay on the games that I've put on YouTube, I could see a ceiling for this game, which really makes me sad to say. Let me know what you think down below in the comments section. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What would you want to see in the game? What do you not want to see in the game? Do you want to worry too much about buffs and nerfs, or do you want extra content? Do you think that the buffs and nerfs should take priority? Hit the comments down below. Like button, subscribe, Twitter, all that kind of good stuff. Thank you for watching. I've been easynow. You guys have been awesome.